Mouth tape. You want better sleep? There's a $6 roll of tape that might just change your brain, or suffocate you, depending on who you ask. That's mouth tape, the weird little hack that's either a sleep miracle or a one-way ticket to panic breathing at 3 a.m. The theory's simple. Humans were designed to breathe through their noses, but somewhere between modern life and too many screens, we became mouth-breathing zombies, which isn't just unattractive. It's bad for oxygen intake, nitric oxide levels, sleep quality, and even facial structure. So some biohackers say, just tape your mouth shut at night, force nasal breathing, fix everything. And they might have a point. Nasal breathing humidifies air, filters pathogens, and regulates oxygen absorption far better than mouth breathing. It also stabilizes the tongue and jaw, which reduces snoring and can stop your brain from waking up 87 times an hour because it thinks you're choking. But here's where things get sticky. No pun intended. The controversy? There's not much long-term research. Doctors warn it's risky for people with sleep apnea, allergies, or deviated septums. And let's be honest, taping your mouth shut feels like something your enemies would do, not your wellness routine. Still, for some, it works great. Better sleep, less snoring, and a lot less drool on the pillow. Gut-brain axis. There's a second brain inside you. It doesn't think, it doesn't dream, it just digests food and tells your real brain how to feel. Welcome to the gut-brain axis, where trillions of bacteria help decide whether you're anxious, depressed, focused, or dealing with brain fog. Here's how it works. Your gut has its own nervous system, called the enteric nervous system. It sends signals up the vagus nerve. That's the superhighway between your gut and your brainstem. That's how food becomes feeling. And those signals? They're heavily influenced by your microbiome, which is the mix of good and bad bacteria living in your intestines. A junk food binge feeds the kind of bacteria that promote inflammation, brain fog, and even anxiety. But fermented foods, fiber, polyphenols, those feed the microbes that help produce key neurotransmitters, chemicals in your brain that keep you balanced and focused. Here's the kicker. Over 90% of your body's serotonin is made in your gut, not your brain. So when people say they feel like garbage after a weekend of junk food, they're not being dramatic. They're neurochemically correct. It's not all in your head. Sometimes it's in your stomach. And if you don't feed it right, it'll eat your motivation for breakfast. Ice water face plunge. Everyone's plunging into ice baths like it's a cheat code for superhuman performance. Mental toughness, fat loss, anti-inflammation. Cold plunge equals instant biohacker badge. But here's what most people don't mention. The science? Still shaky. Some studies show benefits like reduced inflammation and dopamine spikes. Others show it might blunt muscle growth, raise cortisol, or wreck recovery when overused. If you're looking for mental clarity or a fast-acting nervous system reset, you don't need a full-body ice tank. You just need a bowl of ice-cold water. Plunging your face into it activates something called the mammalian dive reflex, a primal response that lowers your heart rate, constricts blood vessels, and shifts your body from fight or flight to rest and digest mode. The method is simple. Fill a bowl with really cold water. Submerge your face for 10 to 30 seconds. That's it. Your vagus nerve gets triggered. Stress hormones downshift, your body thinks you're diving underwater, and everything slows down. It may sound simple, but it's legit neuroscience rooted in primitive reflexes and hardwired survival responses. Cold plunge? Still useful, in some cases. But this? Smarter, faster, and much easier to breathe through. Red light therapy. It sounds fake, like something you'd find next to a Himalayan salt lamp and a rack of healing crystals. But red light therapy, also called photobiomodulation, actually has science behind it. It works by delivering low-wavelength red or near-infrared light to your skin and tissues. That light penetrates your cells and stimulates your mitochondria, the energy factories inside every cell. More energy means faster repair, reduced inflammation, and possibly better hormone regulation. Some studies link red light therapy to improved skin tone and collagen production, faster muscle recovery, reduced joint pain, and even higher testosterone levels, especially with consistent use around the torso. And yes, some people even use it down there. But here's the catch. It's not magic. It won't give you abs or grow your hair back overnight. While research is promising, it's still early. A lot of the claims floating around TikTok aren't backed by peer-reviewed science. Blasting your body with the wrong light panels for 45 minutes a day won't make you superhuman. It might just fry your skin. Still, when used properly, in short sessions, with the right frequency and timing, red light therapy might be one of the more promising tools in the biohacking world. Creatine. Creatine has been stuck in gym culture for decades, all protein shakes, flexing, and loading phases. But here's what most people don't realize. Creatine isn't just a muscle supplement, it's a brain supplement. Your brain burns a ridiculous amount of energy, and creatine helps recycle ATP, the fuel that powers everything from movement to memory. Multiple studies now show that creatine can support working memory, mental fatigue resistance, and mood stabilization, especially with sleep deprivation or high stress. Unlike some other so-called neuroenhancers, this one's not a fringe compound. Creatine is one of the most studied supplements in the world, with a long track record of safe use and proven benefits, both physical and cognitive. There's even early research on creatine as a possible treatment for depression, ADHD, and neurodegenerative conditions. So no, it's not just about gains. Guess those gym bros are smarter than they look. Breathwork. Forget meditation apps. Forget $200 yoga retreats. If you want to shift your mood, your focus, or your entire nervous system in under 90 seconds, start with your breath. Breathwork isn't just woo-woo wellness stuff anymore. It's backed by legit science and used by Olympic athletes, special forces, and even trauma therapists. Why? Because how you breathe controls how your nervous system behaves. Fast, shallow chest breathing signals panic. Slow, diaphragmatic breathing signals safety. Certain breathing patterns can spike alertness, others can put you to sleep, and they're surprisingly easy to learn. For example, box breathing, 4 seconds in, 4 hold, 4 out, 4 hold again, calms your mind and lowers cortisol. Physiological sighs, a double inhale followed by a long exhale, help reset your stress response almost instantly. And alternate nostril breathing has been shown to balance hemispheric activity in the brain and support cognitive control. You're literally walking around with a built-in control panel for your mood and stress, and most people never touch it. Maybe you should. Magnesium. You're probably deficient, and even if you're not, you might still feel like you are. Magnesium is involved in over 300 biochemical processes in the body. It regulates sleep, stress, muscle tension, cognitive function, even mood stability, and yet, most people aren't getting enough. Modern diets are stripped of magnesium-rich foods. Stress drains your magnesium reserves, so does caffeine, alcohol, and even intense exercise. Low magnesium can show up as brain fog, anxiety or low mood, poor recovery, restless sleep, muscle cramps or tension. Here's where it gets tricky. Not all magnesium is created equal. Some forms, like citrate or oxide, can cause digestive issues or barely absorb. Others, like magnesium glycinate, tend to be more bioavailable and calming to the nervous system. So, if you've tried magnesium before and felt nothing, you probably tried the wrong kind. For sleep, stress, and actual nervous system recovery, magnesium might be the quiet MVP of your entire biohacking stack. Binaural Beats. At first glance, it just seems like background noise. Another lo-fi playlist with sci-fi names and slow pulses. But binaural beats aren't just mood music. They're a surprisingly powerful way to shift your brain's rhythm using nothing but sound. Here's how it works. You play 2 different tones, one in each ear. Let's say you hear a tone at 400 Hz in your left ear and a tone at 410 Hz in your right. Your brain doesn't hear them as separate. It creates a third, internal beat, the difference between the two. In this case, 10 Hz. That phantom beat can start to influence your brain's electrical activity, a process known as neural entrainment. Depending on the frequency, it can shift your brain into a very specific brainwave state. Delta waves, between 0.5 and 4 Hz, are linked to deep, restorative sleep. Theta waves, from 4 to 8 Hz, show up during creativity, intuition, and daydreaming. Alpha waves, 8 to 13 Hz, bring calm focus and that clear, in-the-zone feeling. And beta waves, from 13 to 30 Hz, kick in during problem-solving, learning, and alert thinking. It's not magic, but research shows binaural beats may improve sleep quality, boost focus and working memory, reduce stress and anxiety, and even support cognitive flexibility. There is a catch. It only works with headphones. And not every frequency works for every goal, so some trial and error is part of the deal. Still, it's one of the simplest ways to shift your mental state. No supplements required. Morning sun. Forget energy drinks. Forget coffee. If you want to wake your brain and body in under 10 minutes, start with sunlight. Your circadian rhythm, your body's internal clock, runs on light, and morning sunlight is its main signal. When sunlight hits your eyes, especially within the first hour after waking, it triggers a cascade. Your brain shuts down melatonin, boosts cortisol appropriately, and sets a timer for when to feel sleepy later. It's like hitting reset on your sleep-wake cycle, and everything from alertness to metabolism gets a boost. And no, regular indoor light doesn't cut it. Even a bright overhead bulb is a fraction of the intensity your brain needs to properly time your rhythm. Outdoor light, even on a cloudy day, is exponentially stronger. Miss that signal? You risk circadian drift, which can mess with sleep, energy, focus, and mood. The fix is simple. Step outside for 5 to 10 minutes within an hour of waking. Look toward the sky, not directly at the sun, of course. Let the light in. That's all it takes to get your system back in sync with the way nature intended it to be. Dopamine Reset. Everyone's chasing dopamine. More focus, more drive, more pleasure. But dopamine isn't just a feel-good chemical. It's a motivation meter, the neurochemical behind drive, effort, and goal-directed behavior. And it runs on contrast. Every scroll, every swipe, every spike of sugar or novelty, that's a hit. But when those hits never stop, your brain adapts, dopamine sensitivity drops, and suddenly, nothing feels as good as it used to. You feel foggy, restless, unmotivated, and you might not even know why. That's where a dopamine reset comes in. Not to erase dopamine, that's impossible, but to give your system a break from the constant highs, so that natural rewards actually register again. It doesn't take a life overhaul to restore balance. It can be as simple as turning off all notifications for a day, doing one task without music or background noise, or taking a 24-hour break from social media, junk food, or binge content. Even a few hours of low stimulation gives your dopamine receptors a chance to recalibrate. And when they do, you get your focus back, your drive, and pleasure actually feels like pleasure again. Sleep cycles. You didn't sleep wrong, you just woke up at the wrong time. If you've ever gotten a full 8 hours and still felt like you got hit by a truck, there's a reason. Your brain cycles through different stages of sleep every 90 minutes or so. Light sleep, deep sleep, REM sleep, then it loops again. Wake up during light sleep, you feel alert. Wake up during deep sleep, you feel wrecked. That's why timing your wake up matters, not just the total hours. Some apps and smart alarms track your sleep cycles and wake you during a lighter phase. But you don't need a ring, a watch, or a sleep lab. Just try this. Count backwards from your target wake-up time in 90-minute blocks. If you need to be up by 6 a.m., aim to fall asleep at 10:30 p.m. or midnight. Either puts you closer to the end of a sleep cycle, not in the middle of one. You might be surprised how much better you feel with less sleep, as long as it ends at the right time. Intermittent fasting. Turns out your brain doesn't need breakfast to function. In fact, skipping it might make you sharper. Intermittent fasting, usually an eating window of 8 hours, with 16 hours of fasting in between, has been shown to boost focus, mental clarity, and metabolic health. Why? Because when you're fasting, your body isn't busy digesting. Your insulin levels drop, and your brain switches into a more alert, energy-efficient state. That's why so many people report laser focus in the morning, and that's before the coffee even hits. Fasting may also support neuroprotective pathways, reduce inflammation, and even increase levels of brain-derived neurotrophic factor, a molecule linked to learning, memory, mental adaptability, and resistance to stress. You don't need to do anything extreme. No 48-hour fasts, no suffering. Just stop eating after dinner and wait a little longer before your first meal the next day. It's not for everyone, especially those with underlying health conditions or mental health concerns. But for many, it's a small habit that clears the mental clutter and sharpens everything else. There's a lot more where that came from. So if you're into this kind of thing, you know what to do next.